Hello all, it's Sendo here, the person at the website. And today I'm gonna talk about something that I've been discovering myself lately when I've been playing the game. It's something of a habit I have from Splatoon 2 that I think doesn't really carry that well over in Splatoon 3. And when I've been thinking how I'm approaching this game, I've been recognizing that maybe there's this one thing that I'm kind of doing because I got so used to doing it for the 5 years we played Splatoon 2, and that doesn't really work in this game anymore. So yeah, I wanted to kind of like share what my thoughts are on this and what it's about, why it's what's so good in Splatoon 2, why it's not so good in Splatoon 3, and what you should be doing instead. And this is specifically related to defense. So specifically in Rainmaker, to some extent tower control as well, but not really zones. And this has to do with lasted effort and bombs, specifically bombs that are lethal, so suction, splat bomb. I think mostly suction in this case. And it has to do with when your enemy team is pushing and you kind of playing from your spawn, trying to defend. And of course, as we know, a good way to prevent the enemy team from taking space is using a sub weapon. But the thing that happened with Splatoon once they buffed lasted effort, and that was to me when I started recognizing that okay, this is actually like really strong thing to do, is that actually you can do this all the time, repeating it over a period of time to an extent where they might not be able to push for, say, even like a minute straight, because your sub weapon is so strong at keeping them from like taking this one position. And yeah, if you have your lasted effort up, you can basically like spam them so that there is never a window for them to advance this. And this was stronger on some maps than others. I think like a very strong one was Humpback Rainmaker. Their layout was actually kind of similar in Humpback if you don't know the map. You had like this left choke, and then you had this right flank, which was much like longer to go through this way. But yeah, like when you were there, I could basically like throw bombs forever, and they could never advance a lot of the time. And meanwhile, we have our front lines that can basically take multiple shots at taking down the Rainmaker, and you can keep this going for a really long time. And this became a point where I'm kind of like when the game's about to end in Splatoon 2, I know my lasted effort. I know that okay, I just need to stay alive, and I can just use my sub weapon. Like that is often the optimal way to play those situations. And this applies to tower control as well, as I mentioned. When it's overtime, I know like okay, now we just need to get the tower one time. Then often the optimal way to play is just stay back and use sub weapon. It is really hard for them to get to me, and it's still like doing big impact. And yeah, this was something that I really got used to doing, and I felt like it was actually really strong. Okay, so now I bring it to Splatoon 3, and I noticed that okay, actually when I'm doing this, I'm kind of throwing, like literally, I'm kind of like not doing anything at this point in time. So yeah, so why that is? Why is it good in Splatoon 2? Why is it not good in Splatoon 3? Well, I think as with a lot of things in this game, it comes down to the specials and how they work. Like when you think about what specials were strong at the end of Splatoon 2, we had missiles, we had ink armor, and I guess you could say bubble blower with the squeezer. I think those were at least to me like the most notable ones that most changed how the game is played. Of course there were others as well, but those were kind of like the specials I was most looking out for. And yeah, like when you think about how those interact with suction bomb, ink armor, actually it's one of the best counters to armor in the first place, right? Because you have object shredder, even like a far hitbox is gonna take down your armor. So if they armor and I have my bombs up here, like they're not gonna do anything with the armor. The armor is basically useless in this situation. Same with missiles, I'm staying back in the first place, so it's not so hard for me to manage around the missiles. So again, not doing too much. And bubble blower, well, I mean to an extent, yeah, but the bombs are still exploding on the bubble blower, so it's very easy for you to, for example, like team kill your mates or whatnot with the bubbles, because the bombs are still exploding there. And then they are, of course, that's not all of the specials in the game, but this basically applies to all of them. Either it's really hard for them to do an effect on me, or the bomb has a good interaction with the special itself. And now when we go to Splatoon 3, like think about like what kind of specials we have now. Like Crab. I think against Crab it's one of the better interactions still. But even then, it's so easy for the Crab to reach me if I, for example, playing from here, and they happen to Crab. The Crab has many good angles to hit me from a lot of places. So it's not that I'm really safe, like I have to like reposition or maybe fight the Crab. It's not like in a Splatoon 2 I could really easily like avoid pretty much any specials they could do against me. Or the Inkjet. Inkjet is really strong right now. Maybe I'll make another video talking about that a bit. But if the Inkjet I'm staying back here, I'm straight up dead. Like the Inkjet comes up from here and hits me from here. There's nothing I can do for that. And the big thing that they made a lot of specials eat the bombs. So think about Bubble Blower. In the Bubble Blower, if I throw a bomb against the bubble, it explodes. So if someone is there, I'm gonna do damage. But they made so many specials eat the bombs, and maybe notable one here is Try Strike. Like if you throw strikes and it's eating the bomb. Same with Booyah. And that was of course in Splatoon 2 as well, but I think those are even more common now. And it's so easy for them to like, for example, I cannot really like trust that the bomb is gonna be there when it explodes, because they're gonna have those specials. And even if the special balance changes, I think they just made this effect a lot more common. You have also like vacuum and whatnot. And it doesn't even end there. Like to me, like when I think about the specials that are in this game, which are a lot, so maybe not all of them, have this good counter to this playstyle, but even stuff like, Stamper using Ninja, like if I'm just chilling here throwing my bombs, and oops, like they have Ninja up, like what do you call it? I call it Ninja on Stamper, I guess you know which one I mean. But yeah, they right on me, they're gonna get the kill. Like it's not like I'm safe here, and if I die, it's really bad for my mates. So yeah, because of those interactions, either it's really easy for them to get the kill on me doing this, or like the bombs are not doing anything because the specials in the first place are just basically eating the bombs, for lack of better term. So then I found that this is not really doing anything. Like yeah, I might stall them a bit, but as soon as they get the specials up, they instantly push the choke point, and the bombs don't do anything anymore. Where compared to Splatoon 2, even if they get specials, they can use their specials, I can keep doing it, and they still won't be able to push that. So eventually they have to rush it, or one of our frontline is doing their like third attempt at killing the Rainmaker, and they get it. So that is like the big difference. And I noticed that I'm so used to Splatoon 2, I'm doing this strat here, and it doesn't really work, even in solo, but in competitive even less so. You have like really good players doing the specials, and you can't really play this way anymore. So how I plan to adjust my gameplay is a bit like basically I have to rethink the defense completely. And that's not to say that you should not use your sub weapon in defense. It's still incredibly strong, and I think you should play a lot around your sub weapon in defense, even more so than some other parts of the game. But you just can't like rely on that only, And I got so used to it in Splatoon 2, but I think in this game you have to play a more active defense. Like basically I have to be pushed up more, like fighting with my teammates, and you could argue that this makes the game like enjoyable. I mean, of course, this strat, I'm not saying that this strat is like, wow, this is so fancy strat, like I'm such a good player by doing this. No, but it's just, it's the thing that, helped me win the most. But in this game, I think you have to like play more around with your teammates and, helping them finish fights and whatnot. Like, it's not that you can stay back and just interact with the game with your sub weapon. You actually have to play as a normal player. And that might sound obvious, but let me tell you, like, at least in Splatoon 2, it just was based on my experience that doing this was most commonly the optimal way. It's boring, and I think many players don't even want to always do the optimal thing, because it's kind of like, the very boring way, and often it's kind of like, well, it's unlikely that they will be able to get the push anyway, so let's just play a bit like more in a fun manner almost. But I always choose what I think is the most optimal play. And yeah, in this case, I think I cannot really trust that. I have to also be ready to play as a frontline and play more interactive, and just more dynamic in the sense that, okay, sometimes using sub weapon, but then I need to be ready to push up when I get a chance. I need to really like fight for space in this game, because the specials in this game to me work in a way where if you stay back the whole game, then it's quite easy for them to get you in the end, and then you lose the game pretty much. So yeah, that's something that I'm learning myself, trying to get better at this, trying to learn defense better. I think that's something that's probably the hardest thing for me as player still, like how to defend well, because it's like this balance of I want to be aggressive, but if I'm being too aggressive, then that's also throwing. So again, like obvious things, but there's many nuances to how that should be played. But yeah, I just wanted to share this. I think it was kind of interesting that some of the habits that we take from the previous games all of a sudden don't work that well. But I mean, it's a whole new game. The specials and the map design change a lot how it interacts. So yeah, I guess let's just keep learning more about the game. And thanks again for watching. I'll be back with more videos later. So till then, see ya.